welcome to episode 52 of the J Bunny's Music Hub podcast. I'm your host, J Bunny. Well, for this episode, I'm joined today by AJ Cavalier, current singer of the band Diesel Machine and former singer for the band Soil. It was a great conversation. I was especially happy to get an answer to a question that had been rolling around in my brain for about a fucking decade now since he left Soil, so it was great to get that answered. It was a great conversation. I think you guys are going to enjoy it. So without further ado, here's AJ. So what's up, everybody? It's J Bunny. I'm here again on Skype, once again drinking the fantastic wares of the Ghost Hawk Brewery out of Clifton, New Jersey. Definitely check them out. And joining me today, AJ Cavalier, vocalist of the band Diesel Machine and formerly of Soil. How's it going today?
Going good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm just I'm getting real tired of doing. I mean, I love doing this show, but I'm getting tired of not being able to do it in person. Before Corona, before the pandemic, I was always doing this face to face with people at concerts and stuff, and obviously there's none of that going on right now. So
yeah, it's kind of a new world, and doing the video chats and online stuff is, I mean, at least it keeps things going, but it definitely lacks that that personal touch of shaking hands and meeting people.
Right. So as I was saying right before we started recording, I first became aware of you in 2004 when you were announced as the new vocalist for the band Soil. And we'll get to your specific bands in a bit, but can you tell me first, when you first started playing music?
Wow. Well, say playing music, I mean, I guess you maybe want to narrow that down to when I was actually, active as a musician or learning music. I mean, I played, if you want to go back far, high school band, playing drums in that. I was a drummer, still am, but started on drums, and then high school singing things, and then went to Musicians Institute as a drummer, went back in 88, 89. And so I went there, and that's where I met Ray Luzier from Korn and a whole bunch of people that, still friends with today. And from there, I was just a drummer for a long period of time. And then in the early 90s, started to just wanted to get out front and sing because I couldn't find a singer at the time. And so I was thinking of playing drums for a while, and then that got old and just got out front. I think in 93, 92, 93, I started singing out front in a band called World in Pain. And then from there, it just, continued. But yeah, I don't know. That's kind of a long answer to a short question. But I've been doing music forever, I feel. But, when I moved to LA when I was 19, and that's kind of when I feel like I started to try to make it as some sort of musician, whether it be drums or whatever I could do.
And, obviously people know you. You mentioned World in Pain. People know you from Diesel Machine, from Soil. Were there any other bands that you were in that people might know?
I doubt it. This is all pre-internet bands. I mean, this is before any of the web stuff, I don't even think CDs were around. I'm not sure. I was in a band called Last Rites, which was a thrash band in LA, and that was from 89, 90 to 91. We did a few tours with Flotsam and Jetsam and Defiance and bands like that, and Violence, if you remember a band called Violence back in the day.
Right.
We
did
some tours, and Phil from Machine Head and guitar player from Machine Head, they were in that band, and that's where I met those guys back in the day. And Steve from Skin Lab, he was in the band Defiance back in the day. So it's a small world. I've met all those guys, and and still stay in touch with them from playing in Diesel Machine and Soil and whatnot. But yeah, so it was. Last Rites was a band. There was another one on the East Coast, a punk band called Last Rites, but we were on the West Coast, and no one really knew who was who back in the day. We didn't have a record deal or anything. But yeah, that was the first band playing drums and then like I said, moved on from there.
Okay, and then as far as Diesel Machine, can you tell me about the initial era of that band? How did the band come together, and what ultimately led to you guys going on hiatus or splitting up or whatever happened, but at the end of that initial era?
Sure. The quick version would be, I was in a band called World in Pain. Ray Luzier was playing drums. He did a 4-song demo with us, and then his roommate, which was Pete Parada, and Pete is the drummer for Offspring, I think now still. But he was the drummer after that. And we were playing around, doing lots of gigs, lots of shows. And the bass player for World in Pain was Vince Dennis, Vince from Body Count.
Okay.
Still in Body Count. So we were doing lots of shows around LA and, and Burbank and the Valley and wherever we could get a show. And a band called State of the Art was out there, and I met those guys, and the guitar player was Pat Lockman. And that's where I first met Pat, and his brother Tim was singing at the time. And they were kind of like a progressive metal, like a Fates Warning kind of band, really cool, great musicianship and great vocals, and for that kind of, a progressive metal kind of band. And Pat was wanting to go heavier, and with World in Pain, we were pretty heavy, but we were more groove heavy, not so metal heavy, if that's the word. And so Pat and I and the guitar player for World in Pain named Jeff Moore, we kind of, us three, started Diesel Machine. That would probably be back in 1995, I would say, late 95, 96. And I was playing drums again, and that's how it was kind of funny. And we started writing songs, like Anger Within was one of the original songs we ever wrote, which is very crowbar, slow, doomy kind of stuff. And so that was us three in downtown rehearsal in LA, in a loft, jamming to that. And then the music started to get faster. I'm like, well, there's no way I'm going to be able to play drums. First of all, I'm not that good. I'm good, but it wasn't, we need a better drummer, And so Shane came around. I think Pat knew Shane somehow, and Shane got in the band, and then I got bass player, Rich Gonzalez to play bass, and he was in a cool band called Devolution. So basically, Diesel Machine kind of had a different bass player here and there, but with the lineup that it is, now, with Pat, me, Rich, and Shane, it was probably 96. And then that's kind of where it started. And, we just started to kind of go faster and heavier, but kind of keeping the crowbar Meshuggah style vibe going on. And then Shane's drumming was pretty insane, so things started to get more technical and things like that. So it got down to one guitar player, which was just Pat. So anyways, I don't know if that wraps it up. It's a quick history of what was going on. I was still having my band at the time, World in Pain, while we were doing Diesel Machine. And then I just kind of fizzled out World in Pain because I just wanted to go full, concentrate on the Diesel Machine stuff. And we got that record deal in 99, 2000 with, I think, Steamhammer in Germany, and put out that Torture Test record, and do some touring, and we had some really good momentum. Wayne from Static X was a good friend of mine, and he got us to tour with him on the West Coast run with Soulfly and Static X, and ironically the band Soil was opening up for that tour too. So we were just before Soil. And I never heard of those guys before, and I didn't, and I didn't even really. I met the drummer and the guitar, or Sean actually, on some of those West Coast tours, and those guys were really cool. I got along with them real well, and but I didn't really care much for the music. Again, me being just pure heavy, brutal mosh pit, inciting music, and then listening to Soil, which was not. I wasn't in that mode of listening to rock, like a heavier rock band. But anyways, so ironically, like I said, that Soil was there, and that's where I first heard of them. And then a few years went by, not too many. And then Wayne from Static X called me up, said, hey, man, Soil's looking for a singer. Their singer quit or whatever. And that was before he went to Drowning Pool, I guess. And I said, I remember those guys. I really didn't like them that much back then. I'll revisit their stuff and listen to it. And, my mindset was different at that time. I think that was like 2003 or whatever when Wayne was contacting me about that. And at that time, Diesel Machine already lost a lot of our forward motion. Our bass player had an accident, and he was, unable to continue. And I think Pat was, I think he auditioned for Halford, and he got that gig, and so he was real busy with that. So we kept Diesel Machine kind of on the back burner until we were able to record and continue on with. We wanted to do another record, and it took 20 years to get it together. And that's with it, between everyone's touring and Shane being in the Bees over in Japan, a huge rock band over there touring arenas, and of course he does a lot of different things because he's kind of a session guy too. He can play anything and do anything. So sorry, I feel like I'm rambling here, but that's kind of it in a nutshell. We finally decided after everyone got done touring with all their bands and with me with Soil, and we said we should continue what we started. And while I was touring with Soil, I'd be off the road and I would try to get some vocals done, or we would try to track some guitars or some bass and some drums and keep Diesel Machine going. but it was always hard to do because we were kind of all over the map as far as locations and all that. So yeah, and then we finally finished the record, and now we have this as an offering to give everybody. And some of the songs were older songs that we had that didn't make the first record, and we kind of revisited them and made them a little cooler. And some of them were off a demo that we had back in 2000, whatever it was, 2001, I think. And yeah, we just compiled a bunch of stuff, and we wrote some new stuff, and there you go. We have the Evolve record.
Well, okay, I didn't realize that you guys were kind of working on that all along. We'll get more into the newer stuff in a moment. I did want to take a little bit of time to talk about Soil. You'd already mentioned sort of how you got brought into the band. Were there any challenges to stepping into the vocalist spot of an established band with some hits under their belt? And was there any backlash from the fan base with that transition?
Yes and yes, absolutely. I guess challenges singing anyone else's material is tough because I was always in an original band. So I never was in a cover band, and I never tried that. But it was after you bang your head so many years in LA, and you want to be successful, and you want to tour, and you want to be a working musician, and I'm like, you know what? And Dwayne is the one who really talked me into it. He said, dude, they're cool guys. We did lots of touring with them. Once you get to know them, blah, blah, blah. And once I listened to their music a little bit more, I'm like, it's pretty cool. And I know I'm not trying to bash their singer by any means. He's never said anything bad about me, and I did not say anything bad about him. I think his singing style is way different than mine.
Right.
And I'm surprised that they even wanted me because of that. But maybe they did want me because of it. But at the same time, it's just tough coming into something that's established, and people are expecting to hear, their songs, the Halos and the Redefine and the songs that they had, and, to continue on. And when I first joined the band, I was like, can we change the name of the band? And they were all pretty much absolutely against it. I think the drummer was like, yeah, we can change it. He was more receptive to it. But, at the time I was pretty pig-headed. I was pretty, like, fuck that. If I'm allowed to swear, I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah, sure. It's the internet, man.
Not that I'm trying to. I have kids, so I got to keep it down. But I was like, you know what? We should F everybody. If the music's good enough, it'll stand on its own. We don't have to ride the coattails of what was done prior. But they wanted to keep the Soil name. They, and I get it now. But when you're in it and you're emotionally, kind of pissed off that they won't change the name, and you got to, be stuck kind of singing those songs forever. You either have to accept it and move on, or remain pissed. And I was, I guess pissed isn't really the right word. I was just disappointed that they didn't want to just try to do something new, because there was definite chemistry with what they had to musically and what I could bring vocally and melodically to the band. And I was like, well, this is definitely undeniable. We definitely have something here. I feel it. And I didn't think I was going to. When I flew to Chicago when I was in LA, and I was, they gave me a couple songs to write while I was there. And I wrote them like overnight, and came in the rehearsals through the next day and laid down. I think one of the songs was Let Go off of the True Self record. And it was just nailed it. It was like, it just had a good chemistry. And I was excited about, okay, well, we'll keep the name Soil, I guess, but I'm excited that we have this new music, and there's definitely something there. So maybe our new stuff will pick up and take over, and be more successful than what they had prior. But it did not do that, because it just wasn't either not good enough, or it wasn't the time in life where the moons were aligned where it was accepted. So yeah, there's a lot of challenges in doing that. And after the 100th millionth time you sang songs that I don't want to say believe in, but they didn't come from you. And as a vocalist, not to sound cheesy, but if you sing someone else's lyrics, you're just kind of copying it. It's not coming from me, from my soul. I'm just reproducing what someone else did so people can hear it. So, and at the same time, they're not, I don't feel like they're cheering for me. I feel like they're cheering for the song, which is fine. They don't have to cheer for me, but there's just as not as much satisfaction as if it's your own song that you wrote the lyrics and you did the melodies, and people are singing it back to you. And then you just have that thing. So you have to kind of suck that up and deal with it. And I pretty much sucked it up as long as I could before I just didn't really want to deal with it anymore. And it was just kind of getting old. And you get promised a lot that you're going to, we're going to play more of our songs. We didn't play like hardly any songs off of the Picture Perfect record, or, even the True Self record. And it always felt like I was fighting to get our own songs heard. And when you're in it, you're emotionally involved. Your whole life is touring. Your whole life is given up to do this thing that I chose to do, mind you. No one forced me to do it. So it was very challenging and it was very hard, but there was a lot of good times, great times, fun times, and things I'll never forget. And I just think that if there's any advice for anybody who's going to join a band that already has like songs out there or an established name, you really have to let go of trying to push your original vibe on it, because unless they're willing to go your way, you just kind of have to be one of the team players and just kind of play along and do what's necessary. And I did it for a while, bud, and it was awesome. I had a great time. I'm really proud of the 2 records that we did. I put a lot of heart and soul in all those, wrote all the lyrics, except for like one song on Picture Perfect, which was by somebody else. But otherwise, it was a good run for sure. But yeah, a lot of challenges, man, for sure. And I could have ended it in a better way, but at the time, that was the best way I could deal with it, But I get it now. I mean, and I actually have more respect for those guys now, because they're trying to continue to do it. Anybody who can continue to be a musician these days, more power to you, I get it.
Now, I do want to ask, just because it's something that when I first saw it, always kind of, and as the years have gone on, it's been 10 years at this point since you've left Soil, and one thing that I was always curious about, and I would be remiss in not asking you, is your departure from the band. It was originally announced by drummer Tom Schofield that you had not quit, that you were just going on a hiatus, and that while you were on hiatus from the band, he was going to be as well, and he was going to work on other stuff. And then ultimately neither of you returned to the band. Why was it sort of put out in the press that way, that it was a hiatus and not a departure?
I think that's a good question. I think because technically we didn't want to totally end it, and we were like, man, well, maybe if we take some time, we'll all kind of get back on the same page and maybe do another record or continue on. But the deal is this: before that all happened, and you got the industry secret, because I've never told anybody this shit, from, not that anyone even cares, but apparently you do. Back in the day, I mean, it's not like we're freaking Soundgarden or somebody, we're Metallica. This is all just lower level rock band stuff. But I knew that they were looking to get their singer back, and they were in contact with Ryan, and Ryan was in Drowning Pool, wasn't happy, or I don't know what the deal was with him. He came to see us play a few times, and I met him and talked to him a little bit. And they were just very, I don't want to say secretive. I'm not trying to badmouth those guys. Those guys meaning the bass player and the guitar player, because Sean was already out of the band by then, way by then. And I heard that they were trying to get their singer back, and they weren't being upfront with me about it. If they would have said, hey, you know what, dude, we had a good run, it's not working out anymore, we want to get our other singer back, and I think things are going to line up, then that would have been a cooler departure. But to do stuff like that and not let me know, or thinking that I didn't know, I mean, I knew the whole freaking time, and I was like, you know what, it's just like, let's just put this thing on hiatus if you guys are really going to get your singer back. And this is what I was thinking to myself and to the drummer, and the drummer wasn't really happy with how things were going either. So I guess that's where the word hiatus came into play, was that perhaps it was something that could be worked out, but apparently they didn't waste any time, moving forward to get their singer back and to get all that happening. I think they had an in-between singer to finish some touring that happened when Tom and I left, and another drummer.
Right.
And then that singer, I don't even know his name, but he was cool. I listened to one of his songs. He definitely was a good singer. But they had an in-between guy, and then they got Ryan back, and now they're still doing that. But yeah, it's just one of those things where, it's just typical stuff where if it was more on the up and up, and I could have been a better communicator for sure. I was just kind of angry all the time, and I could have definitely handled things a lot better. And I'm not absolutely proud of how it ended by any means. But again, when you're in a relationship, whether it's music or, any kind of relationship, you're definitely, when you're emotionally attached and involved, it's hard to put those emotions aside, and, anger runs pretty quick. So it was best to kind of just stop it before it got, really bad, and,
right.
And that's kind of what happened. And I, like I said, I'm not proud of how it ended. And if I could do it again, I think I would definitely do it in a better way.
All right. And you'd mentioned before that, there wasn't really ever much in the way of a break with Diesel Machine. You guys were kind of working when you had time. So after you left Soil, were you in any other bands or working on any other projects other than Diesel Machine?
No, not at
No.
all. Just doing absolutely nothing except for trying to get Diesel Machine going and, trying to get a job, and I got married and had a child, and a lot of other things in life started, coming around. So there wasn't any other bands, things going on. Just Diesel Machine and trying to logistically make that happen and, and get it finished. It's like pulling teeth to get it all done. You got four guys and you're trying to get the mixes done and trying to get ideas sent back and forth, and but we got it done. I was in California at the time, so Shane was he's in California and the other guys were, so we made it happen. And then I moved to New York where I am now, and I finished some of the stuff from here. Two of the newer songs were done here, and that's kind of the deal. But we kept it going as much as we could.
Alrighty. And then the first new single, or the first new track from the new record, was released last year, Shut It. When that video came out, in the video it had said that there was a tentative release date for the new album of fall 2019, but it was actually not released until this August. I was just wondering what caused that delay.
I think the label delayed that. There was we were still in negotiations of all that, and it took that a little bit of time to get it all worked out. And then they said, well, let's do it on this date instead. But yeah, it was kind of a bummer that I was hoping we'd get it out a little bit sooner. But at least it's out. I can't.
Right.
I'm not going to complain at this stage.
Right. And was there any apprehension about releasing a new album during COVID when like touring to support is not really a possibility?
Not really. I mean, honestly, I'm just happy that the record, that we were able to get it completed. And so much of music is listened to online these days that I don't think I would. I mean, I do miss playing out, and I can't wait to be able to tour on this once things pick back up. But I definitely didn't really stop us from wanting to get it out by any means. If anything, probably want to do it more because I think more people are online and listening to things more now anyway. I mean, how often do you see shows as opposed to listening to music? You see shows once or twice a year or more if you're lucky, more bands that come around, but you're listening to that music a lot more than what you're going to go see. So I think it makes sense to still, for anybody, even now, to try to still get music out there because people still might want to hear it.
That's fair enough. Now, how do you feel about how the entertainment industry has sort of adapted to not being able to tour by doing more online performances and drive-in performances and things of that sort?
I think it's getting old for sure. I mean, I don't like performance videos where guys are in their bedrooms and jamming out to their own stuff. It's like not. It depends, I guess, on how the music is, but like Diesel Machine or heavier music doesn't feel right to be trying to yell at a computer screen or your iPhone. It's something that's got to be delivered live. But I guess people are doing it, and I'm not knocking it, I guess, but it's not for me. So I think people are probably getting tired of watching those kind of things. But at the same time, bands want to stay busy and show something for their fans, but maybe some fans like it, some don't. I don't think we're going to be doing it because I don't like it. I think it's for me, I think it's cheesy to be yelling in my room, and I yell enough as it is. I need to bring it out to on a microphone on a stage is where it really belongs. So.
Right. I did notice it's not just music that's doing it though too. You've got like online comedy shows. Again, I mentioned to you before we started recording that I go to the Renaissance Fair. They've been doing like Renaissance Fair acts or doing online performances. I have a friend who's a magician who's been doing online shows, which that to me is a little. It's like, well, magic online. That sort of I feel like that. I mean, again, not like you said, not knocking it. I feel like magic specifically, if you're doing it online, makes it easier to disbelieve. But again, like you said, people are doing what they can to keep it alive. But yeah, I can't wait I definitely was going to shows way more than once or twice a year. I mean, not the same bands, obviously, but I did the math once.
Yeah.
I'm 37 years old. Prior to this year, I started going to my first concert was when I was 17. Averaged about 2 concerts a month from the time I was 17 until COVID started.
Wow. You're lucky, man. I wish I could do those kind of gigs, man, or see bands, like that, back in the day. You're lucky to be able to go and do that. Were you doing like interviews also?
I've only been doing this about 3 years. I'm just one of those people that's just really a big supporter of music, of live music, of buying music on every show. Although it's not so much the way that people consume music anymore, I still try and encourage people to buy the music that they love to support the artists so that they don't go away.
Right.
Because if bands aren't making, bands or even whatever sort of entertainment you like, if it's not making money, it's not going to stick around.
True, man. I don't expect to get rich by any means off a diesel machine. It was just, it's at some point you're like, I like to, it was more of an accomplishment of finishing something that we started that we said we were going to do for our bass player, and for all of us, had all this forward motion and we wanted to continue it. But it's definitely, we don't expect to be, buying Rolls Royces with the royalties on this record by any means. First of all, Diesel Machine is such an underground thing. There's only, there's really not a lot of people even knew about it. I mean, or even know about it still. And it's okay. We're not slicing any new bread. We're just, a cool band that was heavy back in the day, and we're just kind of continued it, now. So people sometimes listen to it and, it's like, it doesn't really, we're not like the newer style. I don't even know what the style is called anymore. We're more old school, I think, if anything, with what we bring, which would make sense because we're old.
That's fair enough. So I had just mentioned how people don't consume music the same way that they used to, and sort of the signature question of the show that I ask anybody that's on the show is, how do you feel about the current state of the music industry, where people just sort of, they do the Spotify thing, they feel like they don't need to buy music. A lot of people have the attitude, well, bands make all their money at the shows, so we don't need to buy the music, and now there's no shows. Like, how do you feel about that whole where things direction things have been going from an industry standpoint?
I don't know. I hate everybody. I mean, people suck. So, except for you, obviously. But I've always had a problem with people not being either into music or wanting to buy music. Or, I mean, I buy records, and not records, but CDs. People download shit, steal stuff for free. And it's been, back in the day, back when, when it was happening with the Napsters and all the, the funny stuff back then, it just has always been around. So I've always been used to, just people doing whatever they want to do. I don't know if I'm answering your question correctly. I just think if real people that dig our stuff or dig their music, they're gonna want to buy it, and they're gonna want to support the artist, And then there's other people that just want to hear what's going on, so they're gonna rip a song or steal a song, and I don't like them, whatever, which is fine too. But I think people buying CDs is like, one of the lost arts of the world. I mean, I love reading, the liner notes and all the things in CDs, and I even bought my own CD on Amazon. I bought 2 copies of it. So
yeah, I saw the picture.
I needed it.
I saw the picture. They posted a picture to the band's Facebook page of you holding it.
Yeah, man. I mean, I have other friends that, well, I just downloaded or I bought it online. I'm like, all right, that's cool. I don't know, man. Too much technology just makes it too easy to do too many things, and sometimes I like to make it harder. I'm not going to go back to records and tapes, but I don't know. I think I still like buying CDs myself. My brother thinks I'm crazy, but I like to do it.
Oh yeah, me too, man. I've got right now a lot of my stuff is in a storage unit. I'm sort of living with family in between places right now, but I've got so many CDs. I have so many shelves. I keep thinking, like, if ever I can afford to do so, I just want to have like a room in my house that I guess would just be a library, and all of the books and all of the CDs, because I just got so much. I'm very much a physical media person. I don't like downloading, and sometimes there's stuff that like if a band is only putting their stuff out on as a download, well, then I guess I've got to do that because I still want to support, but I'd really much rather have the CD.
Yeah, I agree. Same thing. There's just something about having it in your hand. You just have more ownership. You feel more connected with the band, in my opinion, than looking at stuff online. And I mean, I got the new Deftones record, I freaking love it, and I want to see it. I want to read lyrics. I want to open it up. And that's kind of, I guess, it's just an old school way of thinking, Not everyone's like that these days. They want everything now, quick. I want to click on it. I want to buy it, or I want to steal it, and I want to listen to it. I want to judge it. And I want to just dismiss it. And they don't really have any ownership to it or connection to it because they don't even have it in their hands. I mean, if you're kind of older, so you kind of maybe understand when records were around, or even cassette tapes when you went to Tower Records or somewhere, or wherever, and you actually went to get that record or get that CD, and it just was like coolest thing in the world. And now everything's just kind of taken for granted. And when you're one click away from anything that you want in life, you can just click on it. It's like, I think that makes it too easy when you can't work for it.
Right. I also like, although it is emblematic again of where the industry is going. When bands do these crowdfund things now, it's cool that if you're a supporter of that, they'll put you in the liner notes. Like I do know that there's at least one CD out there that's got my name in it.
Cool. Is that because they did like a GoFundMe?
Yeah, they did the band 40 Below Summer. They did a GoFundMe, and I threw them enough to hit that level where they print your name in the CDs. So,
gotcha.
And then I think the Nonpoint one time did a crowdfund because they needed to get a new tour bus or something, and they put, obviously that wasn't for a CD, but so anybody that did that, they sent you a T-shirt with all the names of the people that contributed on it. So I've got my name on a Nonpoint T-shirt and my name in a 40 Below Summer album.
That's cool, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool to kind of feel like you're a part of something, like, because I tried back in high school, college, I tried to like put together a band, and it kind of fell apart before it started. And then I had kids and stuff, and it's like, well, now I barely have time to breathe, let alone try and do anything else.
I hear you there, brother. That's one reason why it takes forever to get a Diesel Machine record done. You have other things in life that are priorities, and it's definitely a different world. When I was touring and doing all those things, I didn't have wives and kids and things, and so it was, it's a whole different world now.
Right. Yeah, I was actually just telling somebody at work the other day, like, I'm not even working sort of in the field I went to college for, but I had to stop going to college. I was like, when my girlfriend got pregnant, it's like, well, all right, there's a kid on the way. I gotta stop going to school and just get a job.
Yep. That's for sure. You can start a GoFundMe page and see if anyone gives you any money. I want some free money, please.
So that's about all I got for you today. The only other thing I would ask is, what's next for you and what's next for the band? Are you guys working on any new music, or sort of what's next? What can fans expect?
They can expect, let's see, I am rummaging through a bunch of old bins that I have of old Diesel Machine shit. Got a bunch of old gigs and videos. We did like a torture test video back in the day that was kind of like in process, and we shot it at the Whiskey and a few other places. And so I'm digging that out. I'm currently transferring that to some digital media to see if I can include that in some other offering that hopefully we'll have coming up. But yeah, I'm like, there's really just kind of going backwards a little bit and trying to get some nostalgia. I have a lot of old gigs, and hopefully put together something to give people that do care or wondering what it was like back in the day when VHS tapes were around, that, see what we were like back then and so forth. But, we're just looking forward to, truthfully, hopefully be able to playing out, I mean, if COVID stuff lifts and some sort of live playing continues and, or starts back up again, we definitely want to be, on board with continuing that. So, and new music will definitely be ensuing for sure. Right now, we're not worrying about writing anything new. We're just worrying about getting this new stuff out there, and promoting that at the moment.
All right. Well, that's awesome, man. Now that I know that you said you guys are all over the place, but I know you said you're based in New York. I'm in New Jersey. So, hopefully whenever you guys play out, I can come check out a show. I've yet to see, I've never seen you play live before. I didn't see Soil when you were in the band, unfortunately. And I've never seen Diesel Machine. So I'm a fan of both. So I hope to be able to check you out once the world allows it.
I could have swore you were in the crowd saying you suck. Not you, but it could have been everyone else. No, I'm just kidding. There was a lot of hecklers when I first, started singing Soil, and rightly so. I understand if they were in love with their other singer, and I would call them out, and they would just shut up. It's like, you don't mess with the guy with the microphone. I'm always gonna be louder than you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but anyways, no, it's I can't wait to get out with Diesel Machine. It's definitely a nice release of some physical, issues that I have.
So actually, that brings up one other question. Just because you mentioned before, when you joined Soil, you wanted them to, you would ask if they would change the name. Do you think, as a matter of practice, that when a band changes the singer, that they should do that, or do you think there's any circumstance where they should not? Like, obviously, Soil opted not to, but you were sort of more for that, because I know that a lot of people kind of do have that sort of idea in their head of what they feel the real band is, and generally when the singer changes, they feel like it's something, it's something different. So do you think that as a matter of when the singer changes, should that happen?
Truthfully, I mean, yes. And the reason is because the singer is the voice of the band, and anyone who's in there, unless you're literally trying to mimic and pretty much karaoke the shit, to be then, and even that's even cheesy to me. I mean, I could just tell you that if I could do it again, it's hard to say that because I'm very proud of what we did, but I guess technically I think that you should change the name. I mean, but then there's Van Halen, I mean, everyone, look at what happened with Sammy back in the day. Everyone was like, they should change the name. They shouldn't. But, Sammy was a killer singer, and, we tried to do a lot of that, well, look at this band, they did this. Well, look at AC/DC. I guess it's personal preference, and at the end of the day, I would prefer to change the name because I think the singer identifies the band more with their voice. I mean, it's not just guitar riffs or drums.
Right.
The vocals are kind of a little bit important with how it gives the character to the band, and I just think that I thought it would have been more fair to fans to change the name because they remember it a certain way. So now there's this expectation of, well, he doesn't sound like Ryan, or he sounds too much like Ryan. It's like they're all over the map with with what's going on. It's more confusing, I think, and but I guess if you're trying to hold on to the success that you had and you think it'll better you to continue it with that name because you're going to still get gigs under that name because you're going to be playing those songs. I mean, I guess, I don't know. I mean, I would still change the name, honestly. I mean,
I guess it also I also guess it would come down to, because what's the first band that comes to my mind with this is the band Iced Earth. And the only consistent member they've ever had is their guitarist, and it's his band. And, so he's not going to, they've had 4 or 5 different singers, and I know he's certainly not going to change the band name every time a band member changes, because they change band members a lot. But I think that's also more of a unique situation than most.
Yeah, I think that music's a little more unique than what Soil is doing. I mean, I'm not putting Soil down, but it's just, it's rock, it's heavier rock music. It's not like it's some unique band unique sound that's like Audio Slave or something, what Tom Morello's playing, where it's super unique, I mean, those guys didn't keep Rage Against the Machine, they got Chris Cornell, so they came up with something new and something cool. But I mean, I'm just saying, Soil was cool.
Well, hell, even when, I'm sorry to interrupt, even when Rage Against the Machine, when they decided a few years back that they were going to be Rage Against the Machine again, but they didn't get their singer back, so they got Be Real and Chuck D. They didn't call it Rage Against the Machine then either. They changed the name. They still had Rage in the name, but then they called themselves Prophets of Rage, to let people know that it was something a little different.
That's exactly what you should do, man. I mean, truthfully, that's exactly what I think Soil should have done too. And then if we had to throw in a couple Soil songs on there to make other people happy, technically we could have, but I wouldn't have been happy about that either. But you're right. To me, the Prophets of Rage is cool, but it's a whole nother animal. Audio Slave was probably one of my favorite bands too. Still, Chris Cornell, anything he does, I'm a fan of. But it was a different name, a different thing with same players. And I just think that Soil would have been fine because of the style of music that it was. That I think we could have changed the name and still, done okay. But I lost the vote on that one.
Yeah, I guess that does happen. But again, man, it was great to talk to you. I don't think I got anything else. Do you have any other final plugs or any final words before I let you go?
Not really. I just appreciate the interview, and for anybody who's interested in, listening to some older school, heavier stuff, then to check out Diesel Machine. And, we're proud of what we have to offer here. And there's a lot of hard work in that record, for sure. And, I definitely appreciate you, looking into it and, and checking it out, and maybe some new people will get out there and listen to it,
Yeah, I'm glad I was able to. It's funny, is my first sort of exposure to Diesel Machine was, I didn't know the band. I knew when you joined Soil, and it was mentioned that you were formerly of Diesel Machine, and when Pat joined Damage Plan, and it said that I was like, oh man, all these bands that I like, these newer bands that are coming out, or not Soil. Well, Soil was newer-ish, but whatever. Like, they're all getting guys from this band I've never heard of. Let me check out this band because these guys are awesome. That band is probably awesome too.
It's definitely an acquired taste. You're not going to listen to it and go, oh my God, this was like so groundbreaking and new and crazy. It's like we weren't inventing anything new. We were doing what we liked at, the best way we could do it. That's the way I would look at it. I mean, I don't claim to be doing anything original by any means, and I never try to. We just do what we do. We have influences from Crowbar to Meshuggah to anybody, all those, heavier bands back in the day. And we just kind of did what we wanted to do, that kind of, paid homage to that, Pantera being one of the huge influence, obviously. And, we were lucky that we were able to at least have the Torture Test record come out and now to have this record out, we're proud of it. So I just wonder what some people think that, like you said, these guys must be kind of cool. I mean, this guy's from this guy's from that. But then they go back and listen to it and like, well, how come it sounds like an older stuff? It's because it is older stuff. It was mid 90s. I mean, what were they? Were they even old enough in the mid 90s to listen to this music? I don't even know. So anyone who's interested in listening to it, check it out and hopefully you'll dig it. And if not, you can turn it off.
It's fair enough, man. Well, I just want to thank you for being on the show, and like I said, hopefully our paths will cross soon enough.
Yeah, Jason, I'm not too far. About 4 hours to Jersey, man. Not too far away.
All right, awesome, man, awesome.
Okay, buddy.
Every fucking
And from the album Evolve, that was Diesel Machine with the song Cynical. I want to thank AJ again for being on the show. If you guys want to follow Diesel Machine on social media, you can follow them on Facebook at Diesel Machine Band, on Twitter at Diesel Machine US, and on Instagram at Diesel_Machine_official. You can also follow J Bunny's Music Hub on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Patreon. All just look up J Bunny's Music Hub. Also, as mentioned earlier in the show, if you believe in supporting music the way I do by buying it, then make sure to follow at Industry Embers on Facebook and Twitter, and either post or tweet your music purchases with the hashtag BuyMusic, B-U-Y, or it's BuyMusic, B-Y-E. Now, as for what's next for the show, I don't have anything planned. Earlier this week, I learned that former bass player from 40 Below Summer, Derek Kleibish, passed away. I always wanted to have Derek on the show. I'd asked him about it a couple times when he was still in 40 Below, and he always seemed hesitant to do the show by himself. I don't know why. I mean, I would imagine that being in the bands he was in, and also being a recording engineer, having a studio, what have you, that he would have had a lot to talk about. But he always, every time I asked him to be on the show, he would only do it if somebody else was on with him. Anthony DeVizio, who's still in 40 Below Summer. Derek always wanted to do the show with him, and I wasn't able to make that happen, unfortunately. And I haven't talked to anybody about this yet, and I don't generally talk about who may be on the show without confirming it and once it's done and what have you. But once we're a little further away, because it feels in poor taste to ask right after it happened, but once it's a little further out, I might see if Anthony wants to be on the show to talk about not just Derek, but just same as we do on any other show, talk about his career in music, but also talk about Derek, because they've known each other for such a long time. Anthony had posted they knew each other for 20 years. I just knew them from 40 Below Summer and playing in Mark Rizzo's band, but I would imagine there was other things as well. So I'll try and make that happen. No promises. Like I said, I don't even usually talk about what I might do until it's done, but that's an idea in my head is to maybe see if Anthony wants to come on the show, talk about music, talk about Derek, and we'll see. And if it doesn't happen, rest in peace, Derek. You were a cool dude. I remember the one time he and I hung out after a 40 Below Summer show on his birthday a few years back. It was an interesting night, to say the least. But as always, I'll also reach out for other interviews and see what we get. I can't believe that we're nearing the end of the shit show that has been 2020, and nothing has gotten better yet. There's still no live shows. Still all this COVID crap. Like I said at the beginning of the show, it's a little discouraging, but we'll see what happens. Hopefully 2021 we'll see the return of live music. We'll see, maybe, and if not, I still have a couple concerts I seem to find out about getting refunds on. But that's about all I've got for you guys today. As I always say, this happens in its own time as it happens. We'll see what we get next. It's only mid-November. So I hope to do at least 2 more shows before the year is up. And I think that's all I've got for you guys today. I'm sorry to end on such a somber note, but I'm gonna leave you guys today with another song from the Diesel Machine album Evolve. This is the song Death March. Till next time, guys.